Hey Christina, how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Patty, hi, welcome. Quet, welcome. Thanks for being here. Good to see y'all. Real good to see y'all. And we're getting hey Diana, we're getting a thunderstorm here in Boulder, Colorado area. And so interesting that you never know when it's going to rain. You never know when it's going to snow. You never know when it's going to be 900 degrees. Hey Kathy, good to see you. And it's kind of neat, and it never gets too cold, and it does get hot. And being at an altitude of approximately 6,100 feet, that's when you're closer to the sun, and it just, it pounds you. It gets really hot during this time. So, and yeah, it sounds like Chicago too, but you guys get really cold there during the winter time, Christina. And so, but I love Chicago. I love the culture there. I loved everything, and lived there many, many years. So, I hope that everyone is doing well tonight. We're getting a decent crowd coming in, and we'll even get some more as it goes on. But please do have the patience to go through the replay if you can. And I just welcome everyone here. I love it. So, uh, for those that don't know me, my name is Mark Ehrlichs. I'm sure you know of me, or else you wouldn't be here. And so, my name is Mark Ehrlichs, and I am a healer by the grace of God. And so, hey, Maureen, good to see you. Thanks for being here, Maureen. I appreciate it. And well, first of all, as mentioned in other events for the past week or so, that Lynn, who's my assistant who lives in Canada, she and I were talking, and we decided that we're going to be doing every other week for a healing circle instead of once a month. And so we're going with that. And that will be the healing circle every other week. And also every week we'll be doing the gathering. And we also have classes. Lynn will put up the information if she's, when she comes on. I don't know if she's here or not. And, oh, thanks for the like on the manifestation replay video. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so we're offering the mini classes for free, and they're supposed to go between 5 to 15 or 20 minutes max, but I lose my mind, and the last time I talked for an hour, unfortunately, and then took questions. But I'm going to curtail that because it's not a class, it's just giving you a taste and an understanding of what my belief system is and my understandings are, that you might get something out of it, which is what I pray for, and or something different that you might consider in your life. And so that's where I come from. So let me see here. Um, uh, yes, yes, thank you. And so uh, so Lynn will be coming along soon, and she'll also be posting information from the newsletter and announcements and stuff like that, and how to contact me and appointments and things are going to be coming. Hey Roxy, good to see you here. Thanks for being here. I answered a couple questions for you as well, and so um, just be conscious that I will be answering your questions. Yes. Let me see here. So, other than that, I love the internet because normally I'd be traveling all over, and I love to travel. But now with everything happening in the country, it's very curtailed. And now I get to travel all over the world. I get people that come in from Germany, they come in from Europe, different places in Europe, and etc. Kathy, hi, good to see you. Hey, Karth, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Good to see you, Kathy. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. And I get these little things on my other screen over here that I occasionally look at. And so, I can't see it all on my phone for some reason. And Linda, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Love that you're here. And so do watch the replay. And when you do watch the replay, put hashtag replay. And this way I'll know that you saw the replay. And I will be posting it right after we finished. And I'll be posting it on this page, the Spiritual Healing with Mark Ehrlich's page. Eventually, what we'll be doing is eliminating the spiritual matters with Mark Ehrlich's, and they'll just be, and that has a lot of people in it, about 2,500, so we have to let everyone know to go migrate onto either the Mark Ehrlich's page, which is already full with 5,000, and then this page is going to be the main page where I make a lot of announcements, etc. So if you do get a chance, if you're not a member of this page, Spiritual Healing with Mark Ehrlich's, then definitely please, ask for membership in it, and I'll immediately say yes as soon as I get it. All right, let's see. And when Linda comes again, she'll be definitely posting some of these things. I already mentioned about I have appointments when either via Facebook, FaceTime, or on Zoom, or the telephone. Hey Mariko, good to see you. Thanks for being here, Mariko. She's in Japan. Love it. Love it. And, or I don't know if she's in Japan right now, but she's somewhere in the world, gallivanting around, having a good time. And that's where she's from, though. I do work with people's distresses, emotionally and physiologically, biologically, neurologically, chronic situations, whatever. And also, there's times, not all the time, but there are some times that out of my mouth will come the influences of your loved ones and how they might have fit into the picture, or friends or family. I might see a picture of someone like many, many years ago, to give you a small example. Even whether they're alive or not, it doesn't matter. On this side or that side or whatever side. And many years ago at a healing circle, there was a woman that came to the center of the circle, and I never had seen her before, and she had a asthma, very, very severe, and she was, I guess, maybe around in her 40s or something like that. And I said, well, how long have you had the asthma? And she told me, ever since she was a child. And I said, do you know of any causes of it or whatever? And no, doctors can't figure it out. They just treat it. And I said, fine. Okay, so I put my hands on her head and I said, okay, God, help me figure out what the scoop is here. And I was nervous because I didn't know if I was going to be able to help her or not. I never know with anyone. And so, or what I was going to be able to do, being used as a vehicle for this stuff, for that divinity, of my divinity, reaching her divinity and telling her that everything's really okay. I didn't know how anything was going to play out. And so then I started scanning her, and I got down to the age of in her knee was an indicator, which I teach in my classes, the age of 5. And no, excuse me, it was the age of 12, I think. And so I'm there, and I didn't know what the hell this fantastic energy was that I was experiencing. And I kept going deeper and deeper and deeper inside myself. I kept asking, what is this? What is this? And then it showed me that she was on the ground, and her uncle was on top of her, tickling her. And she hated it. She hated it with a passion, and it hurt her. And so as it's hurting her, she eventually couldn't handle it anymore, and she went like that. And then all of a sudden I opened my eyes and said, I got it. And so she says, what? And all these people around, and they're looking astonished. They didn't know what the hell I was talking about, where I was coming from in my life. And so what did I get? And so uh, I said it was your uncle, and I described him. I described her, what she was wearing, how old she was, everything, all details, and how she held her breath in like that to stop the pain and the discomfort that was happening in her ribs. And she started crying. She said, I remember that. And from then on in her life, not saying this applies to other people, but from then on in her life, it no longer bothered her. Over the months that she would be coming back, her asthma was gone. So we get to see things like this, and sometimes I'm graced to be able to, when I'm working with a person, not all the time though, and I don't look for stuff. It just happens. It's what I call spontaneity of the spirit. Excuse me, I say it all the time. And so sometimes I can be able to see people that influenced in various ways. And sometimes I'll be able to see, hey, John, thanks for being here. And Patty, my dear friend, thanks, John, so much. I appreciate it. And so we have this within us. And in the spontaneity of the Spirit, if for me, if I don't focus on that, and I just want to help a person understand what their situation is, if that should be it, or to correct the situation and the consciousness of the disease, then the spontaneity of the Spirit may come in sometimes, and what people call miracles happen. But there are no miracles. We're the miracle. We are the miracle. There are no miracles. And so, but we see them as miracles because they're outside of ourselves, we think. We don't know otherwise. We're not taught otherwise. But we are the miracle. And we'd be able to witness something fantastic or revelatory or what we call spiritual happening unless we were there in preparation for it and participating in that, in seeing the story, hearing the story of whatever is happening. We wouldn't be there unless we were ready for it. And it happens for us in us being there, just like anyone else that might be there to witness something. And so it shows us the possibilities of what's within us, literally. And that's what I really want to say. So sometimes when working with people as I teach, that we can see the causes of things. And then we can also see the effects of things in the person's life. And so, okay, other than that, let's see. We have a couple workshops scheduled. They'll be available on the newsletter. If you go to markehrlichs.com, you'll see at the top place where it says newsletter in one of those little boxes. That's where you'll get to see the whole newsletter. And if you're not a member to get the newsletter, click on the right-hand side, I believe it is, you'll see sign up for a newsletter, and you'll get updates. I don't sell the names, I don't give them away or anything else, so, or any of the information. It's a real simple thing to be part of that. And please do join Spiritual Healing with Mark Ehrlichs on Facebook if you're not a member of that already. And in the gathering here, what I'll do is my best to answer any kind of questions that people have pre-written up until a half an hour ago, all the time, each week, and on healing and spirituality, and working with those that might request if we have time, or as we have time, I should say. I will be doing it with a couple people. And at the very end, there'll be I feel it's a very powerful but short meditation. And please do participate, and please do take it to heart. Mariko just wrote, my mother had a high fever almost every month. We choose our parents before we were born. I am a light worker. It's not that we choose. What part of you chooses? My perception, my understanding, my experience, my teaching, everything dictates that the soul, uh, we're stripped of all the dilemmas, dramas, and traumas um, without the soul. The soul is what dictates on what continent we're going to be born, what neighborhood we're going to be born, what dynamics of the people are around that correlate, and who the parent or parents are going to be. It dictates everything for us in our soul growth. And if that makes sense, I hope it does. And so we don't choose anything. It's the soul that dictates. And for what we have to work out, the soul is the carrier of experience. And that's all it functions with. And the soul is a consciousness of itself, not like any other consciousness. It has its own intent. It carries experience and of what we need to work out each time. And we've been, a lot of people say, oh, I'm going to ascend, or I'm going to, this time is my last time, or this or that, and I'm a new soul. No. And my understandings, experience, teachings, everything is that we've been here hundreds of thousands of times, developing into who we are, what we are, why we are today. Hey, Jason, good to see you, my dear friend. And each time the soul knows what's a priority of sequence to work with, to work out with. And so that's my understanding about that. And you are a light worker, Mariko, and I truly understand that too. I totally agree. And even if I don't know you, I do know that. And so, in any case, let's see here. Let's get to a question. Oh, she also said, my mother has a fever almost every month. I don't know anything about, and I can't type anything right now. So I wanted to find out about that fever, how long does it last, and you know, it can be a preparation process, it can be a cleansing process. Fevers are always cleansing, though, regardless. And a fever is burning out. But oftentimes we elongate it where it's not necessarily needed to be elongated. And a lot of times New Agers, since the late 1900s, they've been saying something to the effect of, oh, I need to go through a cleansing or whatever. Not true. You don't need to. You can have the cleansing happen within you without going through the symptoms of it or without going through the dynamics of it that are harmful to you. Sure, we go through cleansing all our life, but a lot of times they're preparations for growth, and it burns stuff out of us. Fevers are indications of sometimes infections, whatever. You know, I have nothing against doctors. I know some doctors that are good, and I know many that aren't. And they just go by the book, and they don't do any research on the individual or whatever. But I do know some that are great, fantastic. They follow through with the person on a personal level, and they're able to help them. So maybe that's what your mom needs, unless, you know, her fever she expects, and that's going to be it. But I can ask a blessing on her, if you don't mind, or else you wouldn't have mentioned it. So I am going to ask a blessing on her. And in her heart, and in her knowing inside of herself, she's a deeply, deeply spiritual person. Within her, she has a love of a higher source, and that's what's important. And so she is just taken care of in many, many ways. So my friend Kathy She wrote, let me see here, Kathy, she wrote, remembering, that's bringing the memory back, happens at the atomic level. Quick changes at the atomic level of things can make one dizzy. It's true, and I try not to go to the dizziness. And in my cognition of what she's talking about, and yes, Kathy, remembering is bringing the members back together, and in that bringing it back together has an ability to create a greater change within us. It has that remembering has an ability to, or carries the essence of creating a greater change within us. And at the same time, it's a reinforcement to reshape the old. Please understand that. The memory can be utilized to reshape the old. We're presented with a memory, and we can take action on that instead of living in that. Because we can't really live in the past. Many people try to, many people swear that they live in the past, but you can't really live in the past. We wouldn't fit into it. The consciousness that we carry is just so much greater than what was. And now we have the potential to live in the future. And living in the future, the past has a place in it, so we can change that into something greater. So that's correct, totally correct. So we can reshape it of what we have experienced from. We can reshape it, and reshaping the old experience into a potential future. Otherwise, we're just wishful thinking that we're living in the past. Oh, I miss this person so much. And, you know, I'm going to mourn and I'm going to die and everything else without them. That's okay. But it's understanding also that we have a potential to live in the future. And that's what we're forming now at any given moment. So, good, Kathy. Good. And friend Roxy, how is it best to stay in God's presence all day? Great question. How can we keep, what can keep me in the present moment? Well, my answer is, let me see here. I think that's a good question, though. And firstly, and it's a question that a lot of people ask. Firstly, you can't use God's presence, whatever that means. You can't use God's presence. That goes against the laws of creation. But we can utilize the presence as we begin to understand God's presence in that world that we're striving for. Let me try to say that again. We can't use God's presence. We can't use it for our own wants and desires and needs, whatever. That goes against the laws of creation, and it just creates havoc in our lives. But we can utilize the presence as we begin to understand God's presence. The easiest and greatest way, I think, in my life, is to, hey Heather, good to see you. Please watch the replay, please. The easiest and greatest way in my life is to find your dear love in God. And as you do, it's really no different than having a boyfriend or a girlfriend that you're totally in love with in all ways. And you'll see that, you know, when you first meet your love or companion or whatever, your mate, you just want to give your whole life to. You want to give everything to. And someone that we're totally in love with. And that's where your heart is. And it's putting them first. Not in your mind, it's in your heart. and it's putting them first. It's unconditional at first. And few can do that, though, even though many say that they do, or they can, or few can be consistent with it. And with this divinity, the honeymoon is just not for a bit of time, because something changes within you. Something changes in your life as you do commit to it. So that's my answer. That's my answer. And Roxy also wanted to know, if I wanted to work with my pain, is there one way I may ask God to intervene, or are there many? Well, I'll make this short without too much detail. I have classes and workshops on this topic, and so I'm not going to give a whole lot. It'll take too much time, etc. Though I'd love to answer the question. The basics, without jumping the gun or learning to walk before running, is important for all of us. It's really important. And we just can't get the cliff notes on this. It just doesn't work, and we get disappointed and we drop it. Like we are looking for self-satisfaction in some other arena to get our answers, when the answers are really inside. And that's what we're looking for. It involves understandings of what we desire, and in being able to separate ourselves to let it go. Getting out of Dodge, as I say. That's what healing is. That's what healing is. And there's two immediate ways that come to mind that are, in a sense, in the Cliff Notes, but not, because you still have to participate in this. And one, it takes objective indifference. Yeah, the answers are within, Roxy, you're right. But do you have access to them all the time? And do we find them and live by them? And is our life changed with each answer? That's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. So it takes objective indifference. That's the first one. And the other way that I wanted to mention was, this way I also teach, is talking from your heart to God, to your source, to your creator, to your universal mind, to your Buddha, Muhammad, Yahweh, whatever you want to call it, Christ, Jesus, whatever you want to call it. And it's talking from your heart to that, with a deep acknowledgement that that presence is there, that presence of that divinity, the godliness. And then expressing with all your heart, telling God your situation. It's too simple. It's telling God your situation. And then asking God, what are you going to do about this? And it's no different than being a child and the child going to the mother, telling, the child feels secure and safe with the mother, and having, watching the child express their heart out to the mother. The mother knows what to do. The mother knows how to handle this. That's what we're finding out by saying, what are you going to do about this? In letting the divinity do what it wants to do in its way, not our way, the way that we think it's going to come about, or the way that we want it to come about. It will come about in a greater way than what we can even imagine. That's the recognition that we have to come to. That's the understanding within ourselves. We're giving it to our source and trusting that source. How much do we want to trust our source? That's what it gets down to. Say, okay, boss, what are you going to do about it? Hey, Lynn, how you doing? She's here. Everyone give her a root. Lynn is here. Yay. And put hashtag root. And we're having a great time. We are having an awesome time, Lynn. Do me a favor. Can you post the uh, um, the web information or the appointment information and everything else? Yay! Yes, unconditionally and fully, Roxy. That's what it takes. And it's not just for one moment, it's given from our life in that moment. And then we find that we have availability to go to the mother or the father, whatever, whoever we feel the most secure in, or the some other figure, God, or whatever, or Source, or Universal Mind, or the Christos, the Son, or Yahweh, or Buddha, or Muhammad, whatever we want. We get to name it whatever we want, but it's our personal source. And it has this deep, deep love for us that wants to do for us. It's waiting. Then we find it happening. Notice how at the last moment in life, when everything is the worst in life, then all of a sudden, oh, hi, Kathy. Thanks. Notice how when we're just empty, we have nothing in life. Everything's fallen, everything's broken, everything's gone to hell in our life. Then all of a sudden, something happens. And then we're so grateful, and we're going, whew, whatever. Or we made it through. Something happens always. And so, in that dynamic, right after that is when we become complacent again. That joy of being relieved, of being saved, it just, it's amazing. But that only lasts for a few seconds or for a few minutes. Then what happens? We become complacent. And then we start our path again, all over again, of learning to go back or trying to remember how to go back into the destructive of what our prayers are, of living. Every word, every thought, every action is our living prayer. So here we are going back to those times. Oh yeah, thanks, Lynn. She's announcing the self-awareness mini course. It's free to everyone on Spiritual Healing with Mark Ehrlichs. So please go to that. Yes, it's all God's message, as you refer to it. And so we have these opportunities when we're complacent to come back to the memory. And that's what the first question was. Yes, thank you, Lynn. Thank you so much for putting that up. Thank you very, very much. And so Lynn's putting a ton of information up. I love it. Yes. And so we, in letting the divinity do what it wants to do in its way, is the secret. And being back to that innocence of emptiness and trusting without our own expectations. And when we have our own expectations, our own judgments, our own ways that we think things should go, then we're washing it away, all the results. And we have to remember to come back to it, bring the members again. And it was just like Kathy had talked about, or asked a question about remembering. Remembering happens at the atomic level, and it spreads, but it creates a form eventually as we put our desires into that. That's what we're going after. That's what we're going after. The desire initiates activity. The desire is the fire, carries the fire for the activity to happen. And the spirit takes over. So this is life. This is life. And we can identify with it, with anything that we're doing in life. And we can see how we are, where we have faux pas, and what we can do to correct those things through consistency. And that's the answer. And the greater the consistency, the deeper the prayer from within. And every word, every thought, every action is our living prayer. It doesn't have to be religious. It can be Gnostic, knowing that there's a divinity within you that wants to give to you. That's all. And all we're doing as Gnostic is searching for it. And it comes forth as we search. And so, my friend Julian, thanks for putting all that stuff up, Lynn. Awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And my friend Julian, he's from Germany. He's neat. He says, hi, Mark. Maybe you could use the gatherings to talk a little bit about, your CD series, Light Consciousness, Orange Focus. They're all available on the website under products, I think. And so they're awesome. They're spiritual exercises and spiritual meditations. Spiritual is a loose term. They help you to find yourself, your true self, and how you blend in with that divinity within you and all around you. And they take you to a place that makes it more conducive, easier for you. They're all professionally done, all the CDs. There's 5 of them, I think. And the Music of the Spheres, the last one that he mentioned, Music of the Spheres, is it's just me chanting, and someone did it in 7 tones and of the Om. And then my old manager in Chicago, Jennifer, she was in the background chanting every once in a while, breathing in the breath of God. So you can use that for anything. Anything. But the others are, the Light Consciousness is a very intense spiritual focus exercise. And the Orange Focus is a concentration exercise, a focus exercise. And the Flow of Life is what some people call grounding, but it's helping you to be a part of that blend. And the Higher Self is helping you to find yourself within you. And all the CDs that I've done, they're only made to do for maybe 2 weeks. And after 2 weeks, give them to a friend, sell it, put it on eBay or Amazon, and then do it yourself. After 2 weeks, you'll know this. Only doing it maybe 1, 2, or 3 times a week, the max. And each one is maybe between, I think, 12 to 20 minutes. And if you do it religiously at a specific time, whenever you do it 1, 2, or 3 times a week, for 2 weeks, then get rid of it. You'll be able to, it'll be instilled within you that you'll be able to do it yourself without the audio CD. But the neat thing is, it will affect you. And they're on the website, Roxy, and under products, I think. And so they'll affect you. And the Orange Focus exercise, it uses both sides of the brain, as they say, because you're listening to the exercise and your eyes are open while you're looking at an orange on top of your hand, like this. And your hands are cupped around the bottom of it, holding it up, letting it rest on your on this part here, and your eyes are open and focused on the orange while you're listening to the audio on that, the audio CD. So, and it changes you, it alters you, and it'll has the ability to increase your ability to focus many fold. It's incredible. And a lot of these exercises I learned in my order many years ago, and I was taken through them myself, and I just did them so often that I remembered them, and I put them on, they were professionally done on an audio CD. So do take advantage of that. And let me see here. Hi, Bethany. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. And let's see. Sue wrote, my dear friend Sue, is the law of manifestation the same as using influence with the law of cause and effect? we'll enjoy the rerun. She can't be here now, and so yes, you can get them from the website. Lynn's mentioned. Thank you, Lynn. And well, Sue, she's talking about the law of manifestation and this as the same as using influence from the law of cause and effect. Are they the same? And my answer to that is that it's written in the great book that we're created in the image of God. And if that's true, then we have the ability to recreate in that image. If it's true what's written, which I totally believe with all my heart, that we're creating in the image of God, what does that mean? And to me, it's the ability to recreate in that image if it's true that we're creating in the image. And if it's true that we're creating the image of God and we have the ability to recreate in that image, then we are therefore co-creators. Oh my God. And can we possibly imagine what that really means to be in the image of God, first of all? And can we possibly imagine what that really means to us as the inside person, what it really means of who we are, what we are, while we are today, and in our lives, and what we're striving for, where we're coming from, and where we're going to? It's all a part of us. We're created in that image. And so here we are. We can actually, and we do it all the time, as we find that we are creating our personal and global world all the time with whatever is taking priority and precedence in our world, our personal world. We're already creating, but we're not cognizant of that mostly or ever, that we can, if we're creating something, we're creating situations in our lives and other people's lives, we're doing tons of stuff. And yet, we don't recognize we are. So why not utilize that we are? And we have prayers at times. And it's, oh, I was just, wanting that. And look, here it is. Oh my God. Something happened or something's manifest for you. I was just thinking about that. Well, it was in our mind, and there was a manifest from that. So we have the availability for that. And it's in our life. It's a tool that's given to all humanity. And everyone according to their needs of what they're seeking in life. We have that tool available to us. I won't get too much into it. Again, it's a part of classes, and I can give a whole class on this darn stuff. And so, and Sue also wrote, last week you mentioned you were a person that was always ready for a fight. What changed you into a person who hates to knowing another is in pain? Wow. I went through high school like everyone else, and in my younger years, right after high school, I went to Vietnam, and I was there. I did my thing, whatever, and I had a lot of hate within me. I had a lot of confusion within me. I was distraught in life. I had no guidance. I had no direction. I had nothing, and I didn't know what to do with my life, where to go. It was just chaos, and I didn't have purpose, nothing. But my life had been set up for that in some sense. I realized years later. But while you're going through the thick of all things, you don't know these things, and so you just want to kill yourself. And so at least I did. And so I hated God. I hated God with a passion. And I used to, when I was younger, I used to write poetry and hating so badly. And I wanted God to read it and see how much I hated it, even though I didn't know God, or I didn't know what it was, or anything. I mean, I still don't, but, perspectives have changed. And every day I would just tell God that I hated it so much, so vilely, if there is such a word. And it was just chaos in my life. But everything started leading into my own destruction more and more and more and more. And when someone's in this chaos, they have to eventually break and come to an understanding, or you die. And I was on the verge of death. And so I found in different ways, in some way, my order. And it was like an awakening for me. I couldn't believe that this stuff existed. I couldn't believe that miracles happened, not knowing that we're the miracle. I couldn't imagine or find any source of wondrous things happening all around me and inside of me, and manifestations of all kinds, and just it was like a spiritual experience of seeing the spiritual for the first time, seeing light bodies, seeing just all kinds of stuff, and experiencing literally miracles of people being able to do things and stuff like that. Not everyone, just some people in the order. And so my soul led me there, though. And I had to go through all the hell in my life in order to get there. But the neat thing is, the main person in the order was Paul. And there were a few thousand of us, and all around the world, mostly United States. And Paul was there at the Esoteric Council meeting that I had to go to see if they wanted me in the order or not. And so I got up there, and he asked me a couple questions, and I was just, I saw for the first time what it was to go inside of myself. I was taken inside myself by Paul, and it changed my life. It changed my life. I emptied everything. And so my soul led me there. And but I needed to go through the hell first. And it was by the grace of God that this happened, as I refer to it. And I didn't, if I didn't have that saving grace in my life, and from the direction that I was going, I wouldn't be here now. I know that for a fact. And it was in the meeting of my order that I was led to. But we all have this in our lives to varying degrees. No one's greater, no one's lesser, no one's more, no one's good, no one's bad, no one's right, no one's wrong. Everyone has their life to change if they choose. If there's something destructive, it doesn't have to be. We can find things easier if we choose. That's what I've realized in my life. And so I didn't believe things at first of this other life that exists. And so I had to go AWOL 4 times to see if what I was being taught was real. And so I would go back each time, or 3 or 4 times, and I went back each time. And I was learning each time that I left that, oh my God, this is real. I want to be a part of this more and more and more. So I dedicated my life to it. And that's my reality. And but I always went back, so any case, let's see who's here. Bethany, is there any thing in particular? Now, there's going to be a delay from speaking on my phone to or the FaceTime or whatever to your answer. Is there anything in your body, one thing physically, that's bugging you? Nothing emotionally, for a couple reasons. One, I don't want to bring everyone's emotions into view of everyone else. It's none of their business. But that's for an appointment if you want. But is there any one thing that's bugging you in your body that I can possibly work with, please? And please be candid. And also, let's see here. Kathy, is there anything that I can possibly work with in one thing in your body that might be bugging you? Please let me know. And I can do it. I'll work with it now. And same thing with, let me see, I'm looking over the list here, or Jason, or whoever, Linda, Kirith, anyone, please, 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 anyone. All right, Bethany, tell me one thing, please. Uh, uh, please tell me one thing, real brief, very brief. Don't type it out too long. Someone said yes, Bethany. Yay! I appreciate that. And so, uh, any other questions or comments or whatever that I can try to answer while I'm waiting for people to tell me one thing in their body that might be bugging them? Just one. Anyone can tell me, please. I've been working on my core lately. Now it's really sore, probably because you're overdoing it. I don't know. Sometimes when we work on something, it takes a while for the body to adjust. Oh, okay. All righty. All right, Jason. Now with Bethany, you can barely walk straight. All right, can you please sit down? Hey, Steve, good to see you here, my dear friend. Please, I hope you're sitting down, Bethany, and Roxy as well. If we have time, we'll get to you. It's a little late now, but all right. Thanks, Steve. All right, it's above your right hip. Okay. Now you may sense something really subtle or really dramatic happening in your back, and I know most people tell me that they do, and some don't. It doesn't matter whether you feel this or not. We'll see if something happens here. And it's on your right. And be candid with me, Bethany. Type if you sense a change starting to happen in the discomfort of that area, and maybe down your leg as well, please. There. And please type and stand up and move around a little bit and tell me if you notice a difference. And be candid. You may experience something immediately, or as I tell people, as soon as you walk out the door, or walking down the street 2 weeks or 2 months later, then all of a sudden say, oh my God, when did this leave me? I've had it for so long, 5 years, 50 years, and it's gone. If that should happen, great. And it's by what I refer to as the grace of God. And it just moves through. And it helps to take care of a situation, bring ease to a person in their life, or to eradicate a situation, or to make it so they can live with the situation in their life, or good, I'm happy. Good, thank you, Bethany. Or some people that even told me they still have their disease or their situation where they no longer are feeling the effects of it, and they can live a healthy life for the first time, even though they still have that disease process within them, or they still have the injury within them. It's no longer bothering them in their life, and which is great too. Or it can actually be used to help that person come to a finding of what their situation is for the first time in 50 years. Who knows? Thanks, Bethany. I appreciate that. Good to see you again. All right. Let me see here. The next one was Jason, left hip, another hip. All right, this is your left, it's my right. I'm dyslexic at times. So, and keep me updated, Jason, please. And tell me if you notice something happening, my friend. Right there. It was almost like you moved your hip, my perspective of things. Let's see if that doesn't help. It's really quick. Let's see if that doesn't help. All right, good, good, good. And let me see here. Who was next here? Good, I'm happy, Bethany. I never know how or what or why. I don't even understand disease. I know nothing about the process. I don't understand destruction in the body. My only perception is good, Jason. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for sharing that. Um, um, my only perception is I only look for perfection inside of myself, and that's my prayer for a person. My pleasure, Bethany and Jason. Good, and allow that warmth to continue, Jason. Thanks, Beth. Thank you. All right. Well, really briefly, what I like to do is wait a second here. Roxy wrote, besides Mark Rocks, thank you. If you could put hashtag Mark Rocks, Google Analytics loves that. Google logarithms. So if you can type in the comment bar, hashtag you rock. I appreciate that. And put it for yourselves as well. I rock, whatever. And so, all right, now your Roxy, her lower back mostly left. This will help. But remember, we have to take action sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes the healing is done. But sometimes it's our place to take action now that we know that we can do something to strengthen. That's really important. Even though we think that we have restrictions, we can still do things to strengthen the musculature in there, the muscles. All right, good, good, good. Thanks, Lynn. All right, let's do the meditation really quick. Everyone, please, if you can, just sit back and if you can, just close your eyes for a moment and try to wonder what it's like to envision this living mind that's within us all over. It's in our cells, it's in our tissue, it's in our bone, it's in our blood, it's in everything, in our skull, our fingers, our toes. It's a living mind. And as you envision that living mind, living consciousness, that life, that's what life is. Our life is. Envision that and ask it in that mind that's all over. Ask it what it wants to share with you. You might see something, you might hear something, but both seeing and hearing is through your knowing. That's how we perceive, through our knowing. That's how we get images. And how we identify is through our knowing. And that's how that divinity speaks to you, is through your knowing. And we get answers of things we didn't know the answers before, or an elaboration on a statement that we gave it one part of the statement and it gave us more. That's going to that livingness inside. Just trying that out and seeing how much more there really is, how much more it wants to give you. There you go. All right, you guys and ladies, you rock. Thank you so much. And don't forget, the first several minutes of the replay was incredible as well. I loved it. I enjoyed it tremendously. And so, thank you and see you next week for this. And please go to the website and the listings that Lynn put up and for various events and a workshop coming up, etc. It's been a blessing. Thank you so much for being here. I'm totally honored. Bye-bye.